My name is Gena Frangina. I'm a Java developer who have moved to wellness and become a clinical hypnotherapist, and I have founded a podcast called IT Stress Relief, where I have interesting talks from people who advise other people how to reduce their stress. Now, before we had AI and computers and digital things, there have been things like analog prompts. I believe that one of the first prompts in history is written on the King Solomon's ring. The legend says that he asked for a text to hold on his ring that will make him feel better when times were bad and he was having problems and worries. At the same time, when times were good, he'll get a reminder that it will not always be like that, so he have to be mindful and enjoy the good times, but never be too relaxed. So that phrase is, "This too shall pass." And it's amazing how it works both ways. So he was prompting his mind to generate output with that. Another examples of prompts that people were using before we start prompting AIs are the mantras that people use while they're meditating, and they do help them to get into the right wavelength and to relax. And affirmations. So affirmations are a way to rewire your mind in order to start planting certain thoughts you want to help yourself with, to start thinking more positively, to start loving yourself, or another positive changes in your life. So before I came here to deliver this talk, I have to tell you, I have not always been an IT well-being strategist and a clinical hypnotherapist. There actually been times where I had totally burnt out in my work as a Java developer. And in the time of the pandemic, which was very dark and depressing moments, when we were all working from home, mixing work life with personal life. Actually, the work life was bleeding totally in the personal life. I could work till dusk to dawn without even realizing what I'm doing to myself, because there was nowhere to go, nothing to do. So this was the moment when one time during production release, I have experienced a panic attack, and it was the most shocking and uncontrollable event in my life. I could still remember my hands shaking, my whole body was trembling. I was crying without being able to control it. I don't know what was happening with me. It was a horrible experience. And it made me realize I have burned too much. I have forgotten who I am. I have stopped caring for myself, and I should go back to myself. At that time, I could reach out to a colleague. He was a specially trained mental health aider, and we had a talk post the event. But it made me realize how easy it is to find a counselor or a hypnotherapist or a coach in the moment when you're actually experiencing the burnout, or you're crashing, or you have a panic attack or something like that. You can't. If they're good, they're on high demand. So what could you do to help yourself? Now, I started my path on self-discovery and self-learning, education. As I said before, I have become a clinical hypnotherapist, versed in NLP and life coaching. And a lot of this I dedicate to stress. My latest achievement is starting a podcast for IT professionals, where I give tips about how to manage stress, avoid burnout, and achieve work-life balance. And I have interesting guests that talk about similar topics. And the human cost of always on tech, it's really high. Now, 68% of IT professionals report feeling burned out. 45% struggle to disconnect after work. I can't disconnect myself. I have all of these fancy work apps on my phone, like Teams. That is sending me pings and prompts even after I'm offline. And I'm very tempted to log in and check what this colleague A said. Oh, maybe they need me urgently. Who cares? I've been 2 hours after work. Maybe they need me. So we have these nice phones, are amazing creations. They're so helpful. But at the same time, they make us do things like getting distracted and working more than we should. So 100%, we are building resilient systems, but not resilient humans. Somehow, we let humans down. With our advancement in technology, we just let the poor humans out. We push them to be more performant, to deliver faster, work better, and we expect 9 developers to deliver a project in 1 month, like you could say a baby in 1 month, which we know is impossible, but we still push people and they burn out. So here I ask you, what if prompt engineering is not just for large language models? What if it could be a mindset skill? What if we can choose words that could guide both algorithms, ChatGPT AI, but also ourselves? What if we can start planting the right prompts in our minds so we can improve ourselves, our stress levels, and increase the resilience? So you could have AI act as an adaptive coach. Here is an example of what a good prompt and a bad prompt is. Well, it's clear to see that a bad prompt is just typing, help me with stress. Well, what you get, you're not going to get anything useful. Or just, especially because ChatGPT like to sometimes fantasize. It's a bit delusional sometimes. It's good, but not always. A good prompt would be, act as a resilience coach. I'm an IT pro overwhelmed after back-to-back outages. Suggest 3 reframes to reset my day. In that case, you get something more useful. Now, of course, it depends your situation, of course. Here are some useful prompts you can use if you're having an overwhelm. You can start your prompt with act as a calm mentor, and then you describe your situation. And ChatGPT will give you advice what to do. Or if you find yourself getting doubts at work or feeling not good enough compared to your peers, there's this imposter syndrome. You can prompt, help me reframe self-doubt into learning, or similar like that. Or I like something to say, there is no failure, there is feedback. So no matter what happens in life, we win or we learn. Or if you're feeling you're experiencing burnout, you can ask for create a 5-minute recovery ritual after a long day. These are just a few examples, and you can write your own prompt if you like. These are 3 examples how you can start it. Now, while prompting ChatGPT for my talk and seeing the outputs and thinking how I can use that for my everyday life, I have these few key takeaways. Words are powerful prompts, both for minds and for machines. We're just not using them enough to help us in everyday life. And the context transforms the output. The most important thing is the context you give ChatGPT. The more precise it is, the better prompt it will generate, the more useful prompt it will generate. And with time, you can train ChatGPT to actually be very much aware of your schedule, of your work, and your activities through the day, so it will start to offer you a better prompt you can use to improve your life and your stress. Because it will know you. It will not be just some generic prompt you took from a conference. So if you prompt smarter, you'll stress less. And I'd like to give you this key phrase: pause when you have a hard time. Don't jump into conclusion. Don't do the first thing that pops into your mind. Prompt your ChatGPT, your best friend in this case, and reframe the way you think about the situation you are in. with the suggestion he gives you. And there's always a talk about looking for the next best thing, competitive edge, being better performant, or pushing harder, be more agile. However, if you are pouring from an empty cup, if you yourself are burnt out, you'll never be able to get to this level of performance or agility or whatever they're talking about. So the resilience is the ultimate competitive edge. And you can train yourself to be resilient with the right prompts to ChatGPT. You can connect with me and find the presentation. And QR code is easier, but it's also in Linktree. And I have some PDF pack with codes there that is downloadable. Thank you for the time. Let me know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Gena. Give it up for Gena, everyone. Yeah, love to open up to questions if anything comes to mind from anyone.
Hi, can a prompt for one person that works will work for another person as they are both different personalities? So how do you adapt those prompt?
You have to tell ChatGPT about yourself first.
Okay.
Because generic, it will not work good enough for you. As I said earlier, the context is all that matter. So if ChatGPT, the more you prompt ChatGPT and you're telling him about your life, about yourself, about your like, dislikes, if you tell him, I get stressed from XYZ, he will know that when you tell him, I have X happening, he'll say, oh, most likely you feel stressed, you want me to help with. So in time, he'll just become better and better. But he needs information. So in a way, you will train him yourself with the more information you provide.
Thanks.
Yes, the context is king. They used to say years ago that information was king, but now it's the context when it comes to AI. Sorry, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, when you finish, that's
I'm done.
Sure. You have clinical expertise. Are there words of advice and caution you'd offer to people? Because you will be able to spot a duff response to a prompt because of your clinical expertise and your clinical training. Not everybody has that skill. Are there some simple words of advice stroke warning that you can give to people who may be interacting with a chatbot and not have those clinical skills to make sure that they're not taking daft advice or hallucinations or they haven't got the context right?
Oh, that's a good question. Even if you try to pour all of the knowledge into AI and train him like how to be a clinical hypnotherapist, I would still suggest not to take advice from him. Treat it like a medical advice. Because if you go to a specialist, like doctor, GP, clinical hypnotherapist, counselor, whatever, they are bound by ethical code and they have insurance and there are rules they have to follow. But AI, you can't make him liable. So you take whatever he said with a grain of salt. Yes, it's good when you're in the thick of a situation. You need something fast. That's what I'm suggesting mainly. Use it if you are overwhelmed, stressed. You cannot reach to a human that is qualified to help you. But you better start prompting now, because when the situation happens, it's already too late to reach for help. And don't, especially if topics like depression and self-harm and other things, I wouldn't rely on a ChatGPT, even if it's the most trained to help me with, because you don't know how much empathy AI can have to you. And you need the human interaction. It's all this, the coziness, the face-to-face, or via Zoom, but it's still to feel accepted, but another human being. AI cannot do that, but can be a quick fix for everyday stress issues.
Really helpful, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any? You have to run.
Thanks for that question and answer, because that was going to be mine with regards to protections for people who may not be able to manage the prompting when it comes to things with mental health. So my question is with regards to how this can be implemented with regards to those that are running companies and those that are making those big decisions. So I'm a firm believer in empowering yourself and controlling what you can in your own space. But what advice would you give, or what work could you consider doing with regards to the decision makers that actually end up creating the stressful environments in the first place?
Oh, yes. We all have some people, okay, have horrible bosses. That's why there have been few movies about that. Hopefully not that horrible as in the movies. I myself had mostly good bosses. These companies need to train their managers into human communication. It's not something AI can fix. In my case, this is just about stress, and you use it to help on yourself. But the problem with managers, it's a different level. It does increase the stress of people, yes, because we all work with people. And when we work with people, there are always emotions escalating. People misunderstand or decide to misunderstand. And when there is power disbalance, I totally understand why this would happen. So I would say proactively, companies should look for trainings to train their managers in communication and something like conflict resolution maybe and emotional intelligence. This is very important because if your manager is angry because he's having something happen, personal maybe, but he can't manage his emotions, he don't realize that he's angry, he will transfer it at work, and with whomever interacts with him will get the impression, oh, he's angry at me, so I'm misperforming, and this could lead to stress. It can escalate very much into stress, and people leave not companies, they leave bad managers. Is this answering your question? Right. We may have one more minute.
Yeah, we have another minute if there's any other questions.
Yeah.
Robbie? Okay.
Yeah, I can just use my webcam.
Okay.
Would you recommend something like ChatGPT for someone that's on the spectrum?
For something about spectrum?
Autism spectrum.
I have a family member that's mild.
That is a good question. I never thought about it because ChatGPT is trained on the knowledge of whatever they give him, right? So it might be possible, but I don't have experience with this. I mean, I had a person talking about neurodivergency on my podcast, but AI is like something different. I can't fully answer this, sorry. Might be in the future. Oh yes, totally cool. I'll explore on that. Thank you for the question.